she's turning. You must have damaged her.
Where's the escort?
I got one.
All right, so what we got here is a couple of older airplanes, obviously dogfighting. So it looks like they're coming up on a minesweeper, and there's some patrol aircraft that are around there that they're trying to take out. This is pretty realistic so far from what I know of aviation around this time. This is pre-ejection seat. So these guys just go down with the aircraft. So as they're shooting these down, the pilots are trying to actually ditch the plane into the water once they get shot down. Otherwise, they're just going to die. So here we go. Looks like he's got shot up and he's losing altitude. Let's see what he does.
I'm on him, bail out.
So when he said bail out, this is actually, when I flew the T-34 for the Navy, it was a single engine trainer that everybody has to go through before they go fly. We didn't have ejection seats. We had parachutes on our back, and we had to bail out. If we had an issue, we'd actually get out, we'd open the canopy, get out of the aircraft, climb onto the wing, and then jump, like roll over the side edge of the aircraft and fall back behind the wing and then pull our parachute. So we didn't have ejection seats either. So when he says bail out, it reminds me of all the bailout training that I had back in like 2004. So this is realistic. He's taking off his oxygen mask, keeping it attached potentially in case he needs it. And he's at this point, you'd be deciding whether you're going to jump or whether you're going to try to ditch.
Now the swell looks good. I'm ditching.
So now he's going to ditch. He said the swell looks good. So what that means is it's the sea state out there. So if you have a low sea state, it's likely that you can ditch. So we were also trained for ditching in that plane that we didn't have ejection seats, T-34. And sometimes you don't want to fly right into like a big cresting waves, so it swells the waves. You want to kind of go with the waves or potentially on the down cresting side, depending on how big they are. So we would look and see how many feet we think the waves are and determine what direction and if we're going to ditch or bail out.
He's turning tail. I'm going to get after him. Good luck.
What's your fuel? You're at 15 gallons.
15 gallons, understood. Best of luck, Collins.
This is also realistic. So what they did was he had his other wingman who was kind of warding off the bad guy, so to speak, the enemy. And he left, so now he's coming down with him just to make sure he's okay. Probably mark his position if you can. Obviously, they don't have GPS then. So he's just kind of figuring out where he is and if we come back and get him. So he just wants to make sure he's safe. So a wingman, you never really leave your wingman. You want to make sure they're taken care of.
Collins, are you ready?
So he ditched, went into the water, and at this point, he's going to want to open his canopy, get out, and he has some flotation. All right, well, I wasn't a pilot back then. Some awesome airplanes, really cool flying. I actually would give that like a 10 out of 10. I think it's very realistic. The only thing I would have liked to have seen is probably the canopy open and see him get out on the wing or something. And I don't know why they didn't have any communication after that. And I'd have to watch the movie to see what the rest of it was. But overall, I think that was really well done. Really, I would give it, yeah, very realistic. Well, that's unlucky. It looked like his engine just failed. So I think on the Spitfire, you had to actually like check the fuel. You had to like turn a lever and look at the fuel and it would show you, but I'm not 100% sure. But scan your fuel gauge all the time so you don't run out of gas. And it's just eerily quiet because that's what happens when you lose your engine in a single engine plane. Everybody on the ground can tell because the propeller's not turning. So it looks like there's a dangerous airplane coming in that's going to shoot at all of these guys. But it's kind of weird. It's got its gear down. So I don't know why it would have its gear down. It's probably definitely overspeeding his gear right now. Maybe something happened before this. Now that's pretty impressive. A Spitfire that has no engine takes that probably German airplane out. So when you don't have an engine, you're at a dead engine glide. So he's probably caught up a bunch of speed now, and he can just maintain altitude and bleed speed off, and is probably starting to think about where he's going to land. So if he's going in the water, he probably opens his canopy here. In the T-34 that I used to fly, we had to bail out, so we would open the canopy and jump out. We had a parachute. I guess he doesn't have a parachute to jump out of this thing. So thinking about a place to land right now, and opens the canopy maybe because he's taking the water. I'd probably take the beach here. And in that case, my canopy would be closed. All right, as he gets set up for this, he's got his flaps down, so that's going to slow his stall speed. It's really helpful, and if I was going into the water or the beach like this, I'd keep my flaps down as well. And right here, it looks like he's like hand cranking the gear down. We had that in the T-34. We'd have to crank it like 40 some times to get it down. But if I was doing this and my landing was assured, I would have done this way earlier. It looks like they're building some tension here of the gear might not make it down. And I would have kept the gear up in newer airplanes probably. Gear's not really designed to land on maybe soft or even some firm sand, but totally depends on how firm the sand is and what we think. But the gear can dig in and the aircraft can roll over. So it looks like he's kind of freaking out about the gear, finally gets it down and no problem in the sand with those. But you see these big tires, really big struts. So it's just different kind of design to the aircraft that we have now, and this one's a tail dragger. So there you go, engine off landing, flaps down, gear down, and then he destroys the cabin, so the cockpit, so they can't get any of that intelligence out. That's pretty common if you were landing like behind enemy lines somewhere. You try to make sure that they don't get any of the intelligence at the aircraft. So pretty realistic, I think, overall. I don't know about shooting down another plane with an engine out, but that's probably Hollywood. So if you like these kind of reaction videos and you want to see me do more, just smash that like button and subscribe, and you'll see all the other stuff that I do in the future.